Well, hello everybody. I'm doing this Sunday so that you guys can look at it early, but here's the review for Tuesdays or Thursdays or Wednesdays test, depending on what group you're in. So I just thought I'd do it, get it loaded up, and that way you guys can look at it. So the test, here's what it looks like, okay? Number one's pretty easy, midpoint, okay? Midpoint formula is, and I'm going to go through this kind of fast, and you can always slow it down, okay? x2 plus x1 over 2 comma y2 plus y1 over 2. It's just an average. So x1 y1, hold on, let me get my red pen. x1 y1 x2 y2, right? This is pre-calc, so this should be easy. So I'm going to get an answer of negative, whoops, I'll go 6 plus a negative 3 over 2 comma negative 2 plus 5 over 2. Let's see, that's 3 over 2, which is a 1.5, and that's a 3 over 2, which is also 1.5. Huh, that's my midpoint. Now the distance is going to need the distance formula, big square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. Let's see, I got an answer of, put those in there, so I'm going to go my 6 minus a negative 3 squared plus a negative 2 minus a 5 squared. Let's see, that's 9 squared, which is square root of 81, plus a negative 7 squared, which is a 49. What is 81? Hold on, clear. 81 plus 49. I got 130, so I got a square root of 130, or approximately equal to, I don't know, calculator, square root of 130. Oh, clear that, square root. Hold on, dang it. Square root of that answer, about 11.4. Okay, there you go. So that should be pretty easy. Number two, I need some graph paper. This one's pretty easy. So what's the area of a triangle bound by the x, y-axis, and this line right here? So what I am going to do is I'm going to graph this thing by intercepts. Easiest of all. So if I cover up the 3x, I'll get y equals 4. So I have a point at 0, 4. And if I cover up the y, I get an x equals 8. So I'll have a x-intercept of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Connect the dots. Here's my triangle. Area of a triangle, of course, is 1/2 base times height. I get half of 32, which should be 16 units squared. Okay. Again, if I get going too fast, just slow it down. You can always ask me in class. Okay. Number three, I want to solve this system. Okay, so I'm going to probably do it by elimination. I'm going to line them up. So number 3, I'm going to go a negative 5x plus a 12y equals 8. And I'll go 2x minus an 8y equals 0. So I think what I'll do is I'll multiply this one by 5. I'll multiply this one by 2. That's going to give me a 10, of course, but I don't mind that. I can deal with that. So I'm going to get a negative 10x plus a 24y equals 16. I'll get a 10x minus a 40y equals 0. Okay. 40 minus 24 is 16, but it's going to be a negative 16. Y equals a 16. Divide by 16, and y is equal to negative 1. I like that. Nice number. Nice number. So I'm going to take, to make it easy, I'll probably put the 1 right here into the first equation. Right there. All right, so I'm going to rewrite a negative 5x plus a 12. I know y is negative 1 equals 8. Okay, this should be easy because this is just a review of things you guys learned in Algebra 1, Algebra 2. So negative 5x minus 12 equals 8. Plus 12, I get a negative 5x equals a 20. Divide by negative 5, and x is a negative 4. So my answer as a point is negative 4, negative 1. There you go. Okay, moving on. Number 4, find the equation of the perpendicular bisector to line AB. Okay, so this one's going to take a little time, but I can do it. Okay, so let me write this down. Perpendicular bisectors. So these are my 2 points. So first thing I want to do is find slope. Okay, and so I'm going to take the slope, and I'm going to do my y2 minus my y1 over my x2, which is going to be my 2 minus my x1 minus 4, makes a negative 10 over 6, which reduces to a negative 5/3. Okay, now I want then the opposite of that slope, so I need a 3/5. So perpendicular slope is going to be a positive 3/5. And then what I want to do is find the midpoint. Midpoint would be to add and do the average. 2 plus a negative 4 over 2, and then negative 4 plus 6 over 2. Let's see, that's negative 2 over 2, which is a negative 1. 2 over 2, which is a 1. Okay, now, y minus oy1 equals m times x minus x1. I'm going to use the point slope formula, and I'm going to plug in my midpoint and my slope. So I'm going to go a y minus 1 equals a 3/5 times an x minus a minus 1. Minus, kind of going fast, but this is a review. Y minus 1 equals a 3/5 x plus 3/5. I add 1, I'll get y equals a 3/5 x plus a 1 and 3/5. Okay, that is a perpendicular line to the original line, opposite slope, and then it goes through the midpoint. Okay, there you go. That was a little bit harder. Okay, here comes the easy ones. I like these. These are easy. Honestly, these are easy. Okay, let's do number 5. So it's the square root of 81 is 9, but I'm going to have a 9. So number 5, I'm going to have a 9i, right? Minus 4. Square root of 4 is 2, but the square root of negative 1 is an I. I'm going to have a 9i minus 8i, which makes a 1i. Boom, there it is. Okay, 6. I'm going to have to FOIL 6. I can do that. I'm going to go, this times this. I'm going to get a 10. This times this. Negative 4i. That times that makes a negative 20i. That times that makes a negative 8i squared. Okay, one of the things we know, because we've learned it before, is I squared is negative 1. I can put these two together. So I'm going to have a 10 minus 24i minus 8 times negative 1, right? Square root of I squared is negative 1. I have a 10 minus 24i plus 8. I have an 18 minus a 24i. Boom, done. Okay, number 7. Okay, to do number 7, we got to remember that, full paper, that I to the 4th is 1. We've got to remember that, okay? On number 7, we need to remember that I to the 4th equals 1, okay? So if that's the case on number 7, what I'm going to do on 7 is this. I'm going to rewrite it as I to the 20th times I to the 3rd. Okay, now I to the 20th is I to the 4th, but 5 of them. And that is just going to be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So I to the 20th is 1. Now I to the 3rd, if we look at our notes, is I to the 3rd is equal to a negative I. So my answer is a negative 1i. There you go. Number 8, we're going to rationalize. So you can't have an I in the bottom, the denominator. So I'm going to take my 5, this is number 8, 5 over 2i, and we fix the problem with the problem. Multiply by I over I, that's called the property of 1. We're multiplying by the same thing. I wind up with a 5i over a 2 times an I squared. Okay, but I squared we know is negative 1, so let's keep going with this. So I'm going to have a 5i over a 2 times a negative 1 makes a 5i over negative 2. There we go. Boom. Okay. 9. Okay, number 9. Let's look at number 9. Okay, so I've got to rationalize it. I've got a 4 plus 2i. 3 minus 5i, and I'm going to multiply by the conjugate. Hopefully you remember what that is. I'm going to go 3 plus 5i, top and bottom, denominator, numerator. And the reason the conjugate works is because it will cancel out the i's in the bottom, the denominator. So watch. First I'll do the numerator. I'll FOIL. I'll get a 12 plus a 20i plus a 6i plus a 10i squared. Okay? And in the denominator, I'll get a 9 plus a 15i minus a 15i minus a 25i squared, right? Okay, now let's see what we got, okay? These two cancel. I like that. These become -1. So let's do that, okay? I squared is -1. So I'm going to have a 12, combine these, a 26i plus a 10 times a -1, because I squared is -1, a 9 minus a 25 times a -1, because I squared is a -1. Okay, let's keep going with this. So then I'll have a 12 minus 10, because it's a -10, will give me a 2 plus 26i, and that's a positive 25, so if I get 9 plus 25, what's that, 34? Okay, I need to rewrite it as two separate parts. I get 2 over 34 plus 26 over 34i, and then I probably will reduce into a 1/17 plus a 13/17 I. Okay, there you go. Let me keep going with this. Almost done. Okay, number 10. Solve by completing the square. Alright, I can do that. Okay, step 1. Move the 12 to the other side. X squared minus 6x equals -12. Step 2. Half of this is -3. Square that and I get a 9. Plus 9 plus 9. Okay? Now let me factor this. X minus 3, right? Which is really x minus 3 squared. I like that. Equals -3. Okay, no problem. So then I'm going to square root both sides. And I'm going to get an x minus 3 is equal to plus or minus, two answers, the square root of 3i. And I got the I because it's the square root of a negative number. And I'm just going to add the 3, and I get 3 plus or minus the square root of 3i. Boom! There we go. All right, last but not least, last problem, okay? All right. So the senior class is selling tickets to prom for $75 a couple. Okay, the dance club, though, costs $5, so we're going to have to spend some money. So an income, well, this really should be a profit equation. I'm going to call it income. I'm going to go income is equal to my $75 per ticket or per couple. I'll go N for the number of couples. Per couple is minus my $500, right? Because, well, my $500 is I'm not going to make any money until I pay off the dance hall. So now, there's my income equation. I might write as I of N. I like I of N. It's a function. 75N minus 500. Okay, that's the question I like. Okay, now, if the dance club can only hold 200 couples, find the domain. Well, the domain's not hard. The domain's easy because you're either going to have, you ready? You're either going to have 0 people show up, right? Slide this up so you guys. So domain is going to be from 0 to 200 couples. Okay, couples. That's the whole problem about couples. But the range is different. The range is money or income. Range. So the range. The worst thing that could happen is nobody shows up. Negative $500. The best thing is we sell 200 tickets. 200 couple tickets. So we're going to go 75 times 200 minus 500. We can answer, wow, $14,500. Well, that's a lot of money for the senior class. Woo, that's why they do prom every year. Except for this year. Anyway, moving on. So find the break-even point. So the break-even point, that's when your income is 0, but you haven't, but you don't owe any money, and you don't make any money. So just set it equal to 0. I'm going to solve. Okay, break even. plus 500 plus 500, right? Divide by 75. Let's see, we got 500 divided by, divided by 75. And I get 6.6, but I can't have 6.6 couples, so we round up to 7 couples. So we got to at least sell 7 couple tickets to break even. Okay, that's what I have. We'll also look at this in class. If you're strictly online, then hopefully you can do this because it's really going to help you with the test. Okay, that's all I have. Come on, stop.